Hello and welcome to the CUFI Weekly. I'm your host, Kasim. Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly. This week I wanted to talk about something we began discussing last week. That was the wave of terror that was hitting Israeli streets. At the time of our recording, multiple attacks had happened with multiple Israelis murdered. Since that recording, there was another significant terror attack in the town of Bnei Barak, which is a predominantly Jewish ultra-Orthodox town. So we wanted to discuss a little bit about the why, the what, and why is it happening now. One note I do want to highlight about the attack in Bnei Barak, which took 5 lives. One of those killed was Israeli Arab Christian Amir Khoury. His selfless service to his country, him putting his life on the line, tragically it was lost, saved many lives. And at his funeral, it was attended by thousands, including many ultra-Orthodox who are grateful for his actions in preventing the murder of many. So remember all those who have been tragically murdered in terror attacks in the last week before we start this show. And that was something I really wanted to do. So, talking about this topic, it is the Muslim month of Ramadan. Without getting too much into that, a month of fasting, charity, and many Islamic scholars say that, the texts say that there should be no violence. But why is it that Israel always faces an uptick of violence at this time? If you remember last May, when we had the last major conflict, Hamas firing rockets, riots, it was during Ramadan. And if you remember the last conflict, like I do, Israel was singled out as being responsible. They were seen as the villain. They were demonized for defending themselves against terror. I hope and pray that we don't spiral to that. I pray that we don't get to that point. But let's investigate that just a little bit. The accusation is that during Ramadan, this time of fasting, which is hugely significant for Muslims worldwide, the accusation is that Israel makes life much harder for the Palestinians. So let's investigate that. Let's have a look. What has Israel done in the lead up to Ramadan? So straight away, I can tell you that Israel has approved, and this was announced before the month even began, up to 20,000 Gazans, their employment in Israel. 20,000 extra work permits. Don't forget that Gaza is still ruled by Hamas, an entity which is pledged to the destruction of Israel, periodically fires rockets at Israel to terrorize its civilians, and is fixated on murdering every single Jew in the world. Yet, Israel does not want the Palestinian people to suffer for the evil of the Palestinian leadership and has issued work permits to alleviate some of that suffering. It has taken many steps to make the lives of Palestinians easier during this month. Yet, what is Israel receiving for this? So for this, Israel seems to be dealing with renewed terror. There has been multiple riots after evening prayers of every night of Ramadan so far. As worshippers come out of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, they are pelting Israeli police with rocks, glass bottles, and other things of that nature. One has to ask, where are they getting these things? Some images show that they're being stored within the mosque. I can't confirm that, so I'm not saying that as a fact, but it has been done in the past, which really makes you question how sacred are these sites if you're willing to store rocks and weapons in them to attack innocent people and attack Israeli security forces. It begs the question. But here's the other thing, and I feel that this never gets enough attention. The Palestinian leadership, be it Hamas, be it the Palestinian Authority, the clergy in the mosques are inciting, and they really ramp up their hatred of the Jews and the state of Israel in this month. They use this opportunity where more Muslims are engaged. They use this as an opportunity to further manipulate the Palestinian people into violence, into hatred, guaranteeing decades of conflict and war in the Middle East. This is decades of indoctrination. And it's during this month, sadly, that this is ramped up. And you're seeing the effects. Like I said, we're a week in and you're already seeing daily riots with attacks on Israeli security forces. Israel has already had to ramp up security in its streets and towns because of this uptick of terrorism. Yet nobody is holding the Palestinian Authority or Hamas accountable. And yes, Hamas are a terrorist organization who are very brazen about their agenda and their intentions. But we're constantly told that the Palestinian Authority are moderates. US diplomats regularly and world diplomats regularly meet with members of the Palestinian Authority and its leadership, treating them like they are respected members of the international community. But they are just as responsible, just as culpable in this horrific uptick of terrorism and what is happening during Ramadan. Let me just give you an example of something that was on Palestinian Authority television. Remember, the moderates, just a few days ago, they had family members, young family members of terrorists who were in Israeli prisons, and they were talking to them. And these are some of the things that were heard. A young boy told his uncle, who is an imprisoned murderer, "You were one of the heroes of Palestine." And this child wants to buy a rifle and take back Jaffa and Jerusalem. The daughter of a terrorist said, "I was so proud of you when I saw the video of you stabbing an Israeli prison guard." This is what is being broadcast on television in the Palestinian Authority. These are the moderates. What sort of messaging is this sending to a future generation? What is the future of those children who are saying these things? Yet nobody takes note of this. Nobody acknowledges this. It is when Israel takes steps to defend itself from extremism, from terrorism, from violence, that the world's attention will then focus on it. It's then when influencers will take note. It's very strange how none of these influencers who are so vocal, who are sharing all these posts about what is happening in the Middle East during the conflict in May, completely silent when Israelis are murdered. So I just want to finish with this. So if this escalates, and I pray it does not, if this goes further, if there are more violence, if Hamas starts firing rockets, know why it happened, know where it started, and know that nothing happens in a vacuum. It truly is a tragedy. It's a tragedy for Israel and its citizens, and it is a tragedy for the innocent Palestinians who are trying to have a better life for themselves and their children. Until next week, this is Kasim for the CUFI Weekly. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for Zion's sake, do not remain silent. Thanks for checking out today's episode of CUFI Weekly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the latest news from the Middle East along with topics involving US-Israel relations, please be sure to like and subscribe. And remember to click that notification button so that you are notified every time a new show is uploaded.